What is up, my fellow Jets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the New York Jets State of Mind podcast. This is a weekly podcast talking about everything New York Jets on this Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. This is your boy, Malcolm Harper, aka MH Jets Fan 83. You can follow me on social media on X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, which is one word, all lowercase. I also have a Facebook page as well. The audio version of this podcast is available on any of the digital platforms of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. You can find the video version of this podcast on my YouTube channel if you prefer to watch. So all of my first-time listeners, welcome to my podcast. Or if you're a first-time viewer watching this on my YouTube channel, welcome aboard to my channel. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Also, if you could do me a huge favor and share my channel with not only other Jets fans, but NFL fans, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for tuning in. In this episode, I will have my thoughts on what happened last Saturday night against the Green Bay Packers, the joint practices that ended up going on today, and looking forward to the Week 2 preseason matchup against the New York Giants on Saturday night. Now, let's get to the first game of the preseason. I'm finally able to go and chime in to give you my thoughts of what happened. So, the Jets ended up winning against the Green Bay Packers by a score of 30-10. There are so many positives in this game. Before I can get to my reactions, I'm going to say this right off the bat, and I posted this on my X page during the game. I know it's preseason, but you can literally tell right off the bat that we're going to be so much better team because of the coaching. I posted the video on X page. Big shout out to Jets Media, Richie. He's doing an awesome job, by the way. I love that Aaron Glenn is getting confrontation with the players. This is the anti-Robert Saleh. This is a breath of fresh air. Finally, a real coach. We're going to be a lot better than what people are giving us credit for. The so-called football experts in Vegas, which, by the way, the over-under for the wins this year for the Jets is 5.5 wins. And I think they're going to win at least 7 games because of the coaching. Does not have us winning a lot of games. But it's the NFL, and the things can change quick, fast, and in a hurry during the season. Now, let's start with the defensive opening drive. The first snap was an encouragement on Tufele, which, by the way, ended up doing his thing, and I'll get to him a little bit later on in the episode. It's also looked like he's a man ready for the season. He was aggressive with a tackle and a deflection on third down. I am really happy about that. I think he has a chip on his shoulder saying that he was not good, he didn't deserve the contract extension. So Sauce Gardner is ready to go, in my opinion. Now, let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball, specifically the first possession. And kudos to the offensive coordinator, Tanner Anstrand, for the play calling. I like the poise that Fields staying in the pocket and threw it to Johnson to get that first down on that 3rd down and 5. The play I like the most that when he handed the ball off to Braylon Allen for the first down for 15 yards, it looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Andrew Beck, the fullback, was making plays as well, too, coming out of the backfield. I love the way that Garrett Wilson was being used all over the field, especially putting him in motion. Finally, a modern offense. And of course, Justin Fields did some good things on the drive as well, using his legs to cap off the 13-yard TD run. It was all Justin Fields on that TD possession. And I love the way that Isaiah Davis sold the pass attempt. So on that possession, there were 10 plays, 79 yards. It took 5 minutes and 9 seconds off the clock. And after that first possession, Justin Fields was literally done for the night. His final stat line was 3 of 4 for 42 yards passing, 2 rushes for 14 yards and a rushing touchdown. In comes Brady Cook. And I told you on my last episode, he was one of the players that I was going to be watching in this game. His first drive was a turnover on downs when Braylon Allen was stopped on that 4th down play. I did not like the play call personally. He should have gone for the field goal. Now, let's switch over back to the defense. Big ups to Leonard Taylor III for the sack, the fumble, and Tufele for the fumble recovery in the end zone for the touchdown. The Jets extended the lead to 14-3. They added the field goal to make it 17-3 going into halftime. In comes Adrian Martinez for the rest of the game. He takes over a quarterback. I like the tight end screen that he did to Stone Smart for the 24-yard touchdown. 6 plays, 45-yard drive that took 3 minutes and 10 seconds off the clock. Jets ended up leading 24-3 at that point. They added another field goal in the next offensive possession. The Packers scoring their offensive possession. They capped off the long drive with a 39-yard field goal to make it 30-10, and that was the final score. The Jets had 403 yards of total offense, 188 yards for the Packers. The key stat in this game is 2 takeaways from the defense. 10 penalties for 91 yards. AG said in his press conference that has to be cleaned up, and I expect that it will. The time of possession, was the Jets 38 minutes, 41 seconds to the Packers 21 minutes, 19 seconds. 4 sacks by the defense, especially a sack and a half from Jay. So he was literally all over the field. If I actually had a player of the game, he would actually be the player of the game. And again, he was one of the players that basically stood out to me in this game. Another player that stood out to me was Arian Smith. You saw the speed. If the ball wasn't overthrown, he would have caught it and took it to the house. And hopefully, Allen Lazard is going to be okay after that shoulder injury. He left the locker room after the game with his right arm in the sling. Tony Adams with a thigh injury, and Kane had a calf injury, also left the game. Aaron Glenn said in the press conference he does not believe any of the injuries are serious. My overall take is that the Jets were ready to play. All three phases did their thing. It looked so much better offensively than it did with the previous coaching staff. The starting tackles were outstanding. Big shout out to Rich Cimini from ESPN for the following tweet. He tweeted that Armand Membu had 10 pass blocking snaps and 0 pressures. Nice start. And I would agree with that. I tweeted this as well, is we actually got that pick right. So kudos to Darren Muji, the GM, and that front office for getting that pick right. I have seen on X the way he was blocking, and he's going to be great for years to come. I was very impressed with him and Brady Cook. Quantez Stiggers on special teams was making tackles in special teams, and that is a good sign. Malachi Moore had 1 tackle. It's still early on for him, so I'm not worried about him. Aaron Glenn also said in the post-game press conference that preseason or not, a win is a win. If you want to understand how to win and learn how to win, you have to win consistently. He was pleased with opening the series. He praised Justin Fields for getting guys in and out of the huddle, did everything that was needed to get the win. He praises the OC, Tanner Enstrand, getting the play call in. Looking forward to the challenge against the New York Giants. Really good receiver, really good quarterback, really good defensive line. He expects the players to be ready. He praised the quarterback for being efficient. I am so glad that he is slowly but surely bringing credibility back to the Jets, and you're going to see it already. Now, let's get to the news of the day that happened last Sunday when Jermaine Johnson is activated off the PUP list. He announced it on his Twitch account. I expect for him to be ready against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unfortunately, for today's joint practice, we did not see Sauce versus Malik Neighbors. Hopefully, we get a chance to see that tomorrow when they switch over to the Giants practice facility for their second joint practice. Amon Membu had a little bit of trouble with Brian Burns, and as I posted in my X account, I'm not worried about Membu. He's going to figure it out. Also, Justin Fields started hot, but cooled down. Now, let's get to the other Jets news that's been floating around social media for the last couple of days, and they're saying that Breece Hall may be traded at the trade deadline if the Jets fall out of playoff contention. If I had a bold prediction, I think he will not get a contract extension and we'll let him go if he makes it through the entire season. Now, let's get to today's press conference from the Aaron Glenn and the players. Let's start with AG first. He said in his opening statement in his press conference, he said he really liked the joint practices. He also said that Brady may have had his ankle stepped on. He's going to look at the tape, he said. And he also said that he's going to be fine. He said it was an up and down day, true improvements on both sides of the ball. He said there are times that he has to get the ball out, and there are times that he has to use his legs like he did. He said he will evaluate the tape. Abdul Carter is a grown man when evaluating him through the draft process. He did confirm that Tyrod Taylor had arthroscopic knee surgery and will miss the remainder of the preseason. Hope will be ready for week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Allen Lazard is going to be out for 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. Good for the O-line against the D-line to see that defensive front. And like Aaron Glenn was basically saying, the defensive line is really good. He said of Brian Daboll, the head coach of the New York Giants, that they come from the same coaching tree. He said the running backs can not only run downhill, but help in the passing game. He also said that Fields is a mature man. He is always going to continue to be better. He is always on. The one thing that he said when asked about being the head coach of the New York Jets, he says, number one, he's hired to do a job. He said his motivation is the 1998 season. He loves coaching football, the best job in the world, and he is living his dream. And my response to that is I absolutely love that. So you can tell that Aaron Glenn is a humble guy. I like his vulnerability and his transparency. Now, let's get to the players' press conference, starting with AVT. When asked about how he performed against the Giants, his response was, it was decent. Came out with low energy and then picked it up. Pretty good up front. It was good for the O-line to see it. When asked about Fields, he said he has to look at the tape. He said it was fun to run block as opposed to pass. When asked about Joe Tippmann versatility, he said he never complains about it, goes in and out, and puts the work in. When asked on how cool it is for Braylon Allen's passing game, his response was, it's cool. He says that each one of them brings something to the table and can all pass protect as well. He considered himself a vet being in 5 years. He said that everyone knows their assignments. When asked about Membu, he said he's a special talent. Overall, he's really excited about his future. When asked what makes Fields a dangerous runner, ABT's response was, teams have to be prepared for him. He also said that he talked to Jermaine Johnson and said that him and Quentin Williams are both excited to get back on the field. When asked about if they got something on the Saturday night plan, he said he was glad that they ended up playing. So that's AVT. Now let's move along to Justin Fields. When asked about practice, he said it felt good. There's always room to improve. When asked about his relationship with Russell Wilson from Pitt, when they both played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he said he's a mentor and an awesome person. He learned a lot from him. When asked about the Giants pass rush, he said they were really good. Speed on the outside. When asked about Tyrod Taylor, he said he's been great. He's been in a lot of offenses. And when he was asked from the media about the chemistry of the running back, he said it's awesome. Nice three-headed monster. When asked about his maturity, he says experience, his relationship with God, don't play for anyone's approval. He also said it doesn't matter at the end of the day about the outside noise. When asked about the TD run and Isaiah Davis puts his hands up, he noticed that his defender had his back turned and he appreciated it. Lastly, let's get to Jermaine Johnson. He said that he feels ready to go. When asked how has the last few months have been like, he said just being around the guys. In the meetings, jumping in the leadership role. He always preaches the standard, technique, big believer in leading by example. He also said that the hardest thing is not being out there. When asked about accumulation period when it comes to Achilles, he says he does not make excuses. He will be ready to go when his number is called. He says AG holds all three phases to the same standard. He says that AG likes him in the Super Bowl. He's excited to be coaching me. He said he is going to bull rush somebody and put him on their back. And I like that. When he was asked by the media about the scheme, he says, similar scheme, the names are different, but it's not much of a learning curve. Now let's get to this week's preseason game against the crosstown rival, the New York Giants. We are the away team when we play at MetLife Stadium. The game will be televised locally on CBS 2 in New York at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Iron Eagle and former quarterback Mark Sanchez, I still got love for him, by the way, will be calling the game. For those of us outside the tri-state area, NFL Network will be televising the game. According to ESPN Bet, the opening line number was the Jets at minus 1.5 with the over-under at 39.5. The spread has completely flipped over to the New York Giants as the favorites at minus 4, with the line number still currently holding at 39.5. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think the Jet starters are going to play the entire first quarter. And you know how these type of preseason games go. They're kind of like the dress rehearsal, if you will, so to speak. I believe we won't see the starters again until week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers on September the 7th. Let's hope there's no injuries to the starters. Now, here are the players that I'm going to be watching on both sides of the ball. So the first player that I will be watching in this game is Arian Smith. After his performance last week against the Packers, I'm curious to see what he will do with more reps. Just wish the ball that was thrown at him was not overthrown, as I mentioned earlier. The one player that I'll be watching on defense is Leonard Taylor. Let's see one more playing time that he will be able to step up and provide the much-needed depth that we need at defensive tackle. My prediction for this game is the Jets are going to win 28-10. So those are my thoughts on what happened last Saturday night, the latest Jets news, the joint practices with the Giants today, along with the preview of Saturday night's game against the Giants. Now, before I get on out of here for the week, as far as my social media accounts, I just hit over 100 followers on TikTok. Thanks to the 108 followers. On Instagram, I have 120, and I just picked up one new subscriber on my YouTube channel. I have 44 followers. Again, like I mentioned last week, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get 100 followers by the end of the year. Now, on X, I currently have 82 followers, getting close to the 100 followers. Thank you to the 82 followers that have followed me on X. I need more followers, so please hit the like and subscribe so that my channel and my social media accounts can grow. And also leave a comment on any of my previous episodes that I've done. I will make sure to reply to your comments. Now, with that said, I'm out. I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way. I am going to be posting key clips of this episode and the latest Jet news to all of my social media accounts of X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook pages, respectively. Jet fans, you guys are awesome. I will be back next week to recap what happened and looking ahead to the final preseason game next Friday night at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. So until then, Jets fans, I will always end the podcast with a JETS. Jets, Jets, Jets. Stay safe, take care, and go Jets.